My life is misery punctuated by brief intervals of cookies.
This is We Have Concerns. Hi, Jeff Cannata.
Hi, Anthony Carboni.
Hello, concerned citizens. Oh, shit,
Anthony,
is it me?
It's you. Come on.
Oh shit,
You knew
is it
that?
me? I didn't know. It's been a while. Hey, I got hit by a truck.
You did.
I got hit by a truck. That's okay. I do have something.
Oh, good.
I didn't know.
Because I got nothing.
That's okay. I got something. And you weren't supposed to have anything. It's my week.
We've won awards for this show.
Yeah, but they tried to take them away.
Did they? I don't recall that. Is that true?
They did. Yeah, you remember they tried to take them away. They tried to take them away from us and from Night Attack. I believe
they
tried
came
to
to
take
their
the awards.
senses.
Yeah, they were like, "Oh no, not."
What have we done?
Oh no, these people. Look, Jeff, microplastics.
Oh,
plastics in general.
Microplastics, those little bits of things that we consume way too often, right?
Buddy, I'm going to go ahead and say it. Maybe there's a way that these microplastics are making us better and stronger. We don't know.
Oh, yeah.
We don't know. We don't have a longitudinal study about this.
Didn't we
We only just started eating microplastics like 10, 15 years ago.
Good point.
And we only decided that it was a problem like within the last 2 years.
Nothing bad has happened in the last 10 to 15 years.
Look, man, we can't possibly know if the microplastics are bad yet.
The world hasn't
tested.
gotten demonstrably stupider in the last 10 to 15 years?
Name a way we've gotten stupider. Name a single way that we got dumbest and more.
Didn't we do an entire story about how we eat basically a credit card's worth of plastics every week?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A delicious credit card. See, that's the thing is you're not using your describing words, Jeff.
That's true.
We eat one delicious credit card worth of microplastics every week.
What do you think is the most delicious credit card?
Ooh. Now, your mind is going to go to something like a platinum card or a black diamond card or something that's like you're going to say like, oh, it must be because it is the fanciest credit card.
Yeah, it's the caviar of credit cards.
Yeah, but let me tell you something. As somebody whose grandparents came from Eastern Europe and found out how expensive caviar was in the United States, they went, really? They went, are you sure? Fish eggs? Okay. If that's how much you want to charge for it, it's not good. Look, I think the most delicious credit card is probably not even a credit card. I think it's probably like a, I'm going to say it's a translucent gift card. You know, like one of those Starbucks cards that's like translucent and that has something printed on it. Oh yeah, yeah.
Do you think the flavor really comes from the printing? Maybe.
I think the flavor comes from the card. I think we need to get back to the simplistic. You know, like it's like when you go to one of those fancy restaurants, they're like, "We are simply offering you to begin fresh bread." You know what I mean? Like simply all we are doing is a fresh bread made from our own starter that we have kept for 48 years. And like, you know, it's just a simple bread. But because we so rarely have good, simple bread.
We get back to the basics.
You get back to the basics and you're like, oh my God, just a bread and butter? I forgot how much I love just a good bread and butter. And so I think just a clear plastic card. Just the most...
like a plain Visa.
Just a return to petroleum itself. You know, that's probably the most delicious of the credit cards.
I feel like a Diners Club card is going to have a song of something.
Just because it has food in the name?
Yeah, it's Diners Club.
Made for eaters. Must be good eating.
We can both agree, though, that the least delicious credit card is American Express, right?
Oh, God.
Terrible.
No, it comes right back up at the end of the month. I think, you know, in terms of microplastics, keep eating them. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Well, I don't think we have a choice.
Well, that's the thing is I've decided that my new philosophy is if there's something that I simply cannot change within my lifetime, like certainly, look, I have one human lifetime's worth of years. I can make some progress on something, and I'll try to make progress for the next generation. I think that's important. I think the next generation probably shouldn't be eating plastic, but for my generation, there's no stopping it at this point. And so what I'm going to say is maybe I like plastic.
Okay.
Maybe I've decided to simply enjoy my life the way it is.
The problem though with your setup is that you said you have one human lifetime worth of years, but
yes,
the issue I think is how short those years are becoming.
Based on the plastic, once again, we have no idea.
Fair.
So for me, I'm simply going to say I choose to believe that I enjoy plastic.
Okay.
I like eating plastic. And because here's the thing, Jeff, if you hunt for happiness, you'll never find it. Do you know what I mean?
You have to let happiness just waft into your pores, shed by the various plastic items around.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Okay.
You have to become 30% happiness through osmosis.
It would be great if it was somehow strengthening us. We were becoming more plasticine in our own lives. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like we were becoming a plastic man or a Mr. Fantastic of some kind.
That'd be a delight.
Well, there are those, Jeff, who say that...
Quick question. Sorry, before you get into the story, quick question about Plastic Man versus Mr. Fantastic.
Sure. This is the podcast where we should do that.
Do you think Mr. Fantastic suffered from just a lack of imagination based on what Plastic Man is capable of? Like, Mr. Fantastic clearly is capable of doing Plastic Man-esque feats.
Well,
right?
is he? But is the thing. So you've got your Mr. Fantastic of the Fantastic Four, Reed Richards, and he is, his name really, I think, comes more from what he thinks about himself than his powers. Yeah. We've discussed this. Reed Richards is an asshole. He's the worst. The only Reed Richards that I accept and respect, the only Mr. Fantastic that I accept is Stephen Colbert in the Venture Brothers.
Right.
In Ice Station Incredible or whatever it was called, where he's just an asshole.
Yeah.
Because he is. But Mr. Fantastic, I think his name comes more from the fact that he thinks he's really smart and he can do fantastic things with his brain than he can with his stretchiness. Stretchiness, he tends to, my fist is big now.
He'll do long arm across the room, long torso. On a, dealing with a Fing Fang Foom, for example, he'll wrap his entire body around it like some sort of rope or string. What he does not do.
He doesn't turn into a tire.
Never.
He doesn't turn into an animal of some kind.
Once.
He doesn't turn into any sort of like bucket and or vehicle or anything.
Right.
But here's my question. Like, is Marvel, and this is a stupid question to ask when you're comparing two people who stretch their bodies into shapes, is Marvel going for a more realistic, less silly version of these powers than a Plastic Man?
Well, I think that's clear. And I always respected Mr. Fantastic more as a kid growing up because it wasn't goofball Plastic Man type stuff. That's also kind of why I rejected a lot of the Green Lantern. A lot of the Green Lantern was just goofball-y, like, hey, I got a ring that can make anything. I'm going to make a giant boxing glove and punch you in the face.
No, Green Lantern did not earn my respect until Kyle Rayner came along and decided he was going to make robots and mechs and battleships and stuff. Yeah. But listen,
couldn't get a decent haircut though.
Here's the thing. Well, for the 90s, I think Kyle Rayner had a great haircut. For the 90s, he had the same haircut we all did and just let it go. Yeah. Microplastics and plastics in general.
Okay. All right. Microplastics. Gotcha.
The whole reason we're eating microplastics and the whole reason plastics are in the water and plastics are in all this stuff is we've simply, for the last century almost, we've simply just been using plastics and we didn't start really thinking about it until about 30, 40 years ago. And we didn't really start doing anything about it until like 20 years ago. And even then, it's not like we've slowed down in using plastics. What we've done is we've been like, what's the plastic that makes me the most dumb? Don't put that in baby bottles. Right? Like that's what we've decided. We've decided like, hey, what is it? The ABS plastic? Is that the one that does it? Or BPA? BPA. I'm thinking of airbags. BPA is the plastic where you don't want that in your water bottles, your baby bottles, your utensils,
Your mouth.
your mouth. You don't want to
Yeah.
suck on this oil because it makes you dumb.
Yeah. But this is how we've been with everything, right? This is how we are with all technological breakthroughs as we get there and we're like, this is amazing. We can paint our house with this awesome lead paint. That's incredible.
And
Look
let me
how
tell you
good it
something,
looks.
Jeff. Lead
Look at
paint
this
still looks
asbestos.
good.
We can insulate our house with all this asbestos. It's phenomenal. What a great installation we came up with.
Here's the thing. Lead paint still looks great. And asbestos is still an amazing insulator compared to the stuff that we have now.
Yeah.
Like, and that's the thing. We have, as a species, we've really decided to weigh the deadliness of everyday things versus how much it makes our lives easier. And we go from there.
Yeah. And we rarely side with the deadliness part. You know?
Well, we decide how deadly is too deadly. And then we have a company come in and tell us whether we were right or wrong. Like a large corporation will come in and be like, well, are you too worried? Because we think yes.
Yeah.
You know,
sometimes when I think about just the sheer, I mean, this is highly appropriate to what you've been going through lately. When I think about the sheer act of like getting in a car.
Yeah.
It, from a certain perspective, it's absolutely insane, right?
Yes.
That we're just like, I have zero control over whether I live or die from this experience. Like I'm putting my trust into strangers hurling at me at 75 miles an hour. And the only thing that's stopping them from killing me is a line of paint on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well,
but we all respect the line.
But I really need to get somewhere. I really need to go over there.
Look, I need to get from here to there. And what am I going to do? Walk?
Yeah, no.
I'll never get there. I need to get there today.
I would literally just hope that I don't die today in order to get over here.
Well, and you remember, wild. You remember that, like, I think we're just a hair too young for this, but the idea of, like, forcing people to wear seatbelts was considered, like, how dare you?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
like, how dare you force us to wear seatbelts? Like, it was a big thing. And it was like, and it was a thing where, like, one of the things that I hate about, like, Stranger Things or any of these 80s media, like, that's come out, like It and things like that, is like, those kids aren't wearing bike helmets. Stop it. Stop telling me that in the 80s, those kids were wearing bike helmets, because even though now kids aren't stupid and kids are like, no, if you don't wear a helmet, it will literally crack your brain open. We were like, helmets are for babies.
Yeah. I wouldn't have been caught dead in a helmet because I probably would have been caught dead without a helmet.
Dude, the number of times I banged myself up to an extent that I really shouldn't have, just like skating, like skateboarding, because I'm going to wear pads. Eat shit, I'm going to wear pads. You wear pads, Grandma.
It was the worst idea ever to actually have a helmet on. Oh, what a dork you would be wearing a safety equipment.
So stupid. So stupid. And I'm not just talking on the street. I'm talking like at skate parks. They never used to make you wear helmets.
Yeah.
They'd just be like, go ahead. And you'd be like, cool. I'm just going to bomb this half pipe and then maybe I'll, like, I don't know, tear all the skin and fillings out of my knee at the age of 14.
Here in Colorado, there's no helmet law for motorcycles.
Oh, God.
And it's the craziest thing I've ever seen, dude. People just riding down the highway with no helmet on a motorcycle.
Here's what I'll tell you. If it wouldn't take me way too long to get up and get over to my helmet right now, I would do this for the benefit of the video viewers. My helmet saved my life.
I believe it.
3 weeks ago, my helmet, and not just saved my life, which, like, some people have this thought in their head that, like, I don't know, I'd tuck and roll like Batman, or I'd bounce, or like, I don't know. I think my skull's probably tougher than most people's skulls. Whatever it is that people think that make them not wear a helmet. My helmet not only stopped my skull from splitting in like 3 or 4 places, but also there is a giant like gash in the face plastic.
Ugh.
Which now, by the way, my bloodstream is 30% face plastic, but but there's like a bite taken out of the plastic, right? It's not just like a scrape. It's three-dimensional.
Yeah.
It's a gouge, and it would have been, Jeff, over my eye and my cheek. I would have, baby, my face is my moneymaker.
Yeah.
Like it's a goof. Like I'm saying it as a goof, but it's also true. I work on camera for a living.
Yeah. And you also need to be alive for that.
I need to be alive
to make
for
any
that.
money.
I need to have a face for that.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of things that I just need in order to make that happen. And my helmet saved my life. So yes. Well, and here's the thing. We were trying to prove that like we do dumb, stupid things and we should pull back on that. But also here it is. Face plastic saved me. And that's the reason we have face plastic.
So I think what you're saying is if we ingest all that plastic, the safety will be inside us all along.
Now, I did not ask, but there is a thought in my head because I must have done a bounce off of that pavement. And I'm wondering if I was more bouncy due to the plastic. And that's something once again.
There you go. 15 years of ingesting plastics and now you're maybe it saved you.
Maybe it saved my life. In which case, the work that these scientists have done is actually detrimental. And what they've done, Jeff, is they're trying to find a way to get rid of all of this plastic. Now, we're doing a lot of things to get rid of this plastic. Number one, we're trying to find alternatives to plastic. I'm going to be real. I'm going to be the real one here. Most of them suck.
Yeah.
Plastic alternatives, for the most part, suck. There's a reason why everything went from wood and steel and metal and cloth and all of this stuff. There's a reason everything is plastic now. Plastic is real good. That's the issue.
As somebody that has tasted far too many paper straws in the last 5 years, I'm inclined to agree. There's some things that are better as plastic. Listen, I'll use the paper straw.
Yeah. I don't mind a paper straw. I
hate a paper straw.
Anything I'm drinking with a straw, I'm drinking too fast for the straw to get in my way. I have the same lack of restraint and control about beverages as I do about junk food and snacks. If I'm eating if I'm drinking like a delicious iced latte with oat milk, which I very often am.
Yeah.
Baby, I'm sucking that thing down. By the time your straw is like, oh no, it's paper and I can sort of taste the paper. Buddy, I'm not even drinking that drink anymore. Are you still drinking that drink?
That's why they always called you Chugs, right?
They call me Chugs.
All he does is chug it. Whatever it is, doesn't matter. He chugs it.
I chug it. Listen, look at all these high chew wrappers. If you give me a bag of high chews during my convalescence, I'm going to eat nothing but high chews. So plastic alternatives, we can agree, are not great. I want them to get better. I'm excited for them to keep getting better. You know, some of these, I think the plastic alternatives that are working the best are the utensils and plateware that are made of like potato starch plastic. I think those are great. They work wonderfully. But I have
invested in a number of metal straws, aluminum straws, which we have in the house, which I have one right now. Right
there, you go.
Look at that.
Look at you! And out of a little jar. What are you like? You're such a Pinterest. You're so aesthetic, Jeff. I had no idea.
Can I be honest with you?
Yeah.
Everything you see before me was purchased by my wife.
Of course. But you can take the credit for it.
We've never been able to find these things.
Yeah. How do you even look them up? And then how do you decide? I don't know. So as we're looking for these plastic alternatives, we're also looking for ways to fish this plastic out of the water supply. You know, there were those boats, the giant barges that have been collecting in huge nets. They've managed to remove 100,000 pounds of plastic from basically that garbage island that's floating around. They're really trying to remove the amount of plastic for the water. Let me tell you something. If you want to know just how important this is, watch a video one of the, no, don't watch a video of like the Great Garbage Barrier Reef or whatever it's called, or don't watch a video of how much trash is floating in the water. That's not what you watch, because I found that doesn't really impress upon me as a visual what's happening. The visual you want to see is you want to see one of these boats dumping their nets from one trip out.
Yeah.
And see how much plastic they're pulling out of the water, and know that like they're not even making a dent because more plastic is going in every day.
I mean, it's super depressing that it's in the water. I don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
but
it's in fish
also,
now. Like even if we stop eating it, it's in the fish.
It's awful. I mean, you got to worry about eating salmon because they're just delivering it into your body. But
upstream to their own detriment. They fight their way upstream so you will eat the microbeads that exfoliate the inside of your throat.
Yeah.
Which my throat is silky smooth. Listen to these dulcet tones. That's the microplastics.
Beautiful. Have you ever seen a bear stand at the head of a waterfall and just grab the plastic out of the air as it shoots upstream?
Yes. Yep. They love it.
They do. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is, don't get me wrong. It's great that we're getting the plastic out of the water, but it then what? Like we got to put it on land now, I guess. We just put it in it's not going away. We got it out of the water and now we got to put it somewhere.
Sure. So one of the biggest questions about that is recycling. And we know that recycling doesn't work as well as we've been told. That's another problem with it. This is why I'm saying, everybody, listen. You could stop listening to the podcast right now and take the lesson of this podcast as just learn to enjoy the fact that you're 30% plastic now. It's easier. It's better. It's going to make you a happier person. But if you want to keep listening, one of the biggest issues is recycling doesn't work the way we were told.
Well, for plastic, like it works great for paper and cardboard. Certain things it works great.
It works great for paper and cardboard, assuming the paper and the cardboard are not soiled or dirty or have too much tape on them or like there's. Recycling simply does not work as well as we've been told. Our current means of recycling things is not the greatest, which is why so many of these things, when they say recycled, they say it's recycled pre-consumer and not post-consumer. Pre-consumer means we're here at the paper mill and we've got some leftover pulp and, kind of lower grade stuff. And in order to sell that lower grade stuff, we're going to let you know that we're using this trash to make this thing. And we're going to charge you more for it, even though it costs us less. Right? That's pre-consumer. Post-consumer is... or it's in the factory or it's whatever, and they have leftover junk that they reuse themselves. Post-consumer is you and I put the stuff in the green bin or the blue bin, and it goes to the recycling center, and they're able to actually reuse this material. Yeah. Now, I think they said something like, and don't quote me on this, but I think they said something like the actual percentage of stuff that goes through a recycling center that can be recycled usefully is only something like 20 to 30%, which means 70% of this stuff is going back to landfill or going to junk. It's not being recycled, which for paper is terrible in a different way than plastic, right? For paper, that's terrible because we got to cut down more trees. For plastic, it's terrible because that plastic sits for hundreds and hundreds of years. Right.
Yeah. So according to the quick Google search that I did, 46
Plastic
million...
Man's cooler. Plastic Man is way cooler.
Plastic Man way cooler. Quick Google search. 46 million tons of plastic waste generated annually in the U.S. 5 to 6% gets recycled.
Now, and a lot of that has to do with how much are people willing to recycle? How much of that stuff is plastic that can be recycled because certain plastics can't? How much of that stuff is like plastic stuff that's too big or bulky, and so you can't. There's a lot of reasons, but a lot of it has to do with the efficacy of recycling. So, what do we do about this? What do we do about the fact that this is not happening at the efficiency and the level and the frequency that we want. So there's a group of researchers that has been working on this at the Biological Research Center in Madrid. And one of these scientists was an amateur beekeeper. And as they were taking care of their bees, they cleaned out an infested hive, and they found that the larvae started eating holes in a plastic refuse bag. So this was an infestation of other insects that was destroying the hive. And then after cleaning out the hive, these insects were eating through the plastic. And the researchers said that after studying these insect saliva might be a depository of degrading enzymes, which could revolutionize the cleanup of polluting waste. Certain insects have enzymes in their saliva that naturally breaks down plastic quickly.
Feed the plastic to the bugs.
Feed the plastic to the bugs. Huh? Huh?
Yeah.
I don't care about bugs. I don't care
can
about
go
bugs
wrong
at
if
all.
we just, here's the plan. We just make the bugs procreate at a rate that can take down this amount of plastic and nothing can go wrong. We just flood the oceans with insects.
Yes. Jeff, I myself have just moved to the new colony of Hawaii, and I have seen that there are just too many snakes here. So what I'm going to do, Jeff, is I'm just going to bring a few mongooses to Hawaii.
Yeah.
I'm just simply going to bring a few of these mongooses to Hawaii.
Just a couple, maybe
Just a couple.
Handful. Yeah.
Here's another thing that I've noticed. Hawaii got lots of bugs, too many bugs for my liking. I've found this particular frog.
Oh, it eats bugs.
It eats these bugs and makes an adorable sound while it does so. So basically what we're looking at here is polyethylene, right? Plastic bags are made of a type of plastic called polyethylene. That's 30% of all plastic production. It's used mostly in bags and packaging, which is a huge, huge amount. I mean, 30% of all plastic production, right?
Yeah, that's a lot, right.
So the only recycling that we do with polyethylene today uses mechanical processes and creates essentially lower value products. What they mean by that is like you gotta really mush down the polyethylene, you gotta reheat it, you gotta reconstitute it, and that makes more brittle plastic. So it's not useful for the same stuff it was useful as before. So we have to find new things to use it for, right? And not as many things use this more brittle polyethylene. Now, if we could use insects, and the insects that they were using here, this is Dr. Federica Bertaccini at the Biological Research Center in Madrid. And they said, my beehives were plagued with waxworms. Ooh. So I started cleaning them and putting the worms in a plastic bag. I noticed lots of holes, and we found that it wasn't only chewing. It was chemical breakdown. So that was the beginning of the story. So, right, like they're eating a little bit of the plastic, but they're also little gross goblins that get their saliva juice everywhere while they're eating.
Yeah, they're just breaking it down with their slobber.
They're just slobbering idiots that just gorge themselves like little goblins, like little plastic goblins.
Yeah.
And as they gorge themselves, whatever they don't eat and completely get out of our lives, they slobber all over, which breaks it down and gets it out of our lives way quicker. Waxworms.
It's amazing. So wait, why are they called waxworms? Is it because they feed on the wax of the bees?
They feed on the wax in the beehives. Which is why they were infesting the beehives. They love a high chew. They're basically bugs that love high chew candy.
Do you think you and they have a common ancestor?
I think that we've both been eating so much plastic that I'm a bit of a waxworm now.
Do you think these
I
bugs
do
are
slobber?
Yeah, well, yes.
I eat real quick. I'm a disgusting eater. Have we ever discussed this? I know you've been around me while I eat, but have we ever discussed this on the show?
Did I ever tell you the story of going on a first date with a girl? It's not my wife. It was a previous girlfriend.
Oh, this is a girl that you're dating behind your wife's back right now.
Yeah, my side piece.
This is not true.
No, God, no. The highlight of my week is cookies with my wife. I don't get out. Anyway, this is a previous girlfriend many years ago that I later like had a longer relationship with. And at one point in our relationship, she revealed to me that on our first date, she thought, which was at a restaurant, she thought I was comically eating to like exaggeratingly
like as a goof
for comic effect to entertain her.
Wow.
But I was just eating, Anthony. That's just how I eat.
Is this... So I've always associated this with the Eastern European Jewish side of my family, but perhaps this is from the Italian side of my family.
Yeah. I mean,
or
I
maybe
definitely
it's
attribute it. Maybe it's both, but I certainly got it from the Italian side.
Because I had a friend tell me, actually. It was a friend in high school that told me. And he was like, hey, man, like, you got to chew your food. You were just taking the entire mouse you're just unhinging your jaw and swallowing it whole. I would chew into something like 2 times and swallow. Like I would just devour food. My family was
Shaggy eats a sandwich on Scooby-Doo.
Unhinge my jaw. I make a sandwich by shuffling a deck of cold cuts and bread.
Yeah.
And then I simply eat it in a single bite. And this is the way I eat.
It's just efficient.
It's just an efficient way to eat. I honestly, if I can be real with you, and I know I try to bring everything back to this. It's like, anytime Anthony says this, take a drink. But like, I think it annoys me to have to sit and eat because I'm doing something I don't want to do when I have other things I should be doing. And so I just, like, my ADHD brain just goes, fucking finish this food and get back to what you're doing. Right. This sucks.
Yeah.
Eating sucks. Yeah. So yeah, I do a big slobber. I'm a gross eater. I've been trying to get better at it, but I do think I'm a bit of a waxworm in that way.
Do you think these waxworms are just so dumb that they can't tell the difference between wax and plastic?
Buddy, what if the difference is just negligible for them?
Maybe. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I know the difference between different kinds of foods, but I'll eat them all.
That's a good point.
Good
point. Yeah.
If they can eat the beeswax and they can eat, the polyethylene, and it don't give them tummy ache, they keep eating the polyethylene.
Yeah. I was like, I was well into my 20s before I'd had Thai food. I'd never had Thai food growing up.
Wow.
I didn't know I loved Thai food. This could be a similar situation with the waxworms. Like, all they had was wax. You're a waxworm, you're growing up, you just have wax. And then one day somebody's like, hey, have you tried Thai food?
Did you know that noodles could have flavor?
Well, I mean,
you're from an Italian family, right? But did you know that noodles could have different flavor?
I didn't know they could have peanut flavor.
Oh, God. To live into your 20s without having Thai food. Wow.
First time I ever had Thai food was in Los Angeles at Toy, that restaurant Toy on Sunset.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. First time I ever ate Thai food was there.
Wow. Well, there
Thai.
you go.
My friend's like, just try pad Thai. And I was like, okay. Oh, this is amazing. Yeah.
I'll tell you. Wow. Opened up a whole new world to you. And maybe that's what we're doing. Once again, like, I like to think maybe I like oil. I like to think maybe these bugs like oil too. Maybe we're opening a whole new world up to them.
Yeah.
Look, they're figuring out what this means, but they do know that it means these salivas, these enzymes, break down plastic. So what does that mean? Does that mean that we harvest these enzymes from these bugs? Like you said, that could lead to a whole other environmental thing. Does that mean that we can create synthetic versions of these enzymes in a lab? What are the long-term effects of using these enzymes? All of these things still need to be studied, but here's the thing. We've used different enzymes before. We talked, I don't know if we talked about it on the show, but I think we at least mentioned that we're using bacteria in oceans and soils now to try to get rid of some of the plastic in there. And we've released bacteria into the ocean that eats some of these oils. Mm-hmm. Did we release it too quickly? I don't know. Let's get rid of the plastic first. We'll worry about it from there. Let me tell you, once we get rid of this plastic, we got to start dealing with all the nuclear waste we threw down there.
Bad.
We were using the ocean as a big old trash can. Because here's the thing, Jeff, you throw something into the ocean, it disappears.
You don't see it ever again.
The only person who maybe sees it is James Cameron in his little submersible. And who cares? Fuck that guy.
Come on.
That guy sucks.
One guy.
It's one guy. And he
maybe
sucks.
He's the king of the world. Maybe not. I don't know.
I'll tell you what, he sucks is what he is. So we've also used a super enzyme to break down plastic drink bottles, which are usually made from PET plastic, which is totally different kinds of plastic. We've been using bacteria from leaf compost to get rid of PET plastic. We've been using a bug from a waste dump that can eat polyurethane. We've been trying all of these different natural means to get rid of these things. And I think, like, to me, out of everything we've tried, this to me seems like the best way to go about it. Now, are we introducing a mongoose to Hawaii when we do this? I have to wonder, because the difference between, and maybe we put more thought into this now, maybe we don't. Like we said, they're just in the experimental phase here, but mongoose, if can't eat snake, will eat other thing. Right? Mongoose will start eating different eggs, different animal things. Like mongoose will start destroying other stuff. And mongoose will live a mongoose amount of time, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Bug over quick.
Well,
bug over quick can't eat much.
Should we be worried about our supply of wax? Like, what if they can't get enough plastic? Will they turn to our wax and eat all our wax?
Well, we certainly listen. I think to be safe, the government should regulate anywhere that this is going on, plastic recycling is going on. There cannot be a Yankee Candle factory within like 15 to 20 miles.
That just seems like a wise policy. You know?
Or like one of those companies, or a novelty company that makes the fun wax lips.
Right. Yeah.
Or
your
the
Acme's,
your little cola bottle candies that you bite off the tops and then you drink the delicious sugar syrup out of.
Right.
None of those novelty companies should be allowed to operate close to. I mean, listen, we can't even allow them close to a plastic vomit.
We're really figuring this out, though, Anthony. I feel like we're really working this through all the angles. It does seem to me that the biggest question with all this is scalability.
Yes.
Right?
Yes,
because
absolutely.
You can find out that a bug will slobber its way through your little plastic bag. That's great. But when you're looking at an island full of plastic refuse, I don't know. I don't know how, the scalability seems like the biggest question.
Right. So I think the thing here is when you've got something, we're talking about like, when we're talking about the amount of plastic that we have, let's say we have these ships that are gathering up these huge amounts of plastics, and we take those plastics to a facility that is just literally just a pile of plastics and bugs. Like, really, that's like, honestly, it's like it's genuinely like having a compost pile, but for plastic. Like, when you think about it, you don't need to do much.
Maybe we could just use like a Carnival cruise ship. I feel like they're like halfway there already.
Yeah.
It's just bugs and
the
plastic.
problem with that is like as gross as a Carnival cruise ship is, it is one of the last bastions of all you can eat soft serve ice cream that we have as humanity. And
Let's preserve
also
that. Yeah.
and also where will we study all the new diseases that hit mankind if not on a cruise ship?
Fair enough. Yeah.
We need cruise ships are vital because they allow us to study the effects of whatever new pandemic is about to break out on the weak and the old.
Yeah.
And we need that. That's important. That's important data.
Yeah. How else will we learn how various diseases will affect your shuffleboard score?
Right. Where are the majority of higher end close-up magicians going to get jobs if we shut down cruise ships?
Sure. Yeah. It's a valid question.
Where are people from touring companies of Broadway shows going to go off season?
Yeah.
Cruise ships serve a vital economic purpose, and they're also just environmentally great. You want to talk about a cruise? I've been on a cruise ship twice, and both times I've been on a cruise ship, I've been like, "Oh, this is a death machine."
Yeah.
This is an absolute death machine floating through the water, causing death. I was like, "How? This can't be."
But all the soft serve,
but unlimited soft serve
much soft serve,
terrible pizza. Whenever you want. If it's 3 a.m. and you want terrible pizza, you just walk down and you get it. Where else are you going to do that except for any major city? Now, listen. Here's the thing. So if we take all this plastic and we put it in essentially what is a plastic compost heap, we can either allow these bugs to overrun. And then what happens to these bugs? Like, how do we environmentally control these bugs? Well, you would think that if we've got them contained and we start running low on plastic, the bug population simply drops.
Yeah.
Naturally, because their lifespans are very short. But this might not even be something we need to worry about, Jeff, because the team studied all of these enzymes. They studied 200 different proteins in the waxworm saliva, and they've narrowed it down to the 2 that have the plastic eating effect. We could, like we said, be using lab means to create these proteins, or we could extract these proteins from bug saliva without having to. I mean, listen, we're going to breed and kill a lot of bugs.
Right. But we don't have to breed and let them just run rampant. We can just use the important stuff.
Right.
I think what we're saying is we want to avoid a lady who swallowed a fly situation.
Sure.
You swallow the frog to kill the fly. You swallow the cat to kill the rat. You get it's an endless cycle of swallowing.
It's what they call a skinnamarink dinky dink situation.
Exactly. That's the scientific term. I didn't want to get too sciencey on the science podcast.
It's like a DEF CON. It's like the DEF CON, and like you can start at skinnamarink dinky dink. But you do not want to environmentally get to skinnamarink do.
Right. That sounds like a skinnamarink don't, if you ask me.
That's what the final one is. The general, we've reached skinnamarink don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do we skinnamarink do now? And the general said, "I thought this would be the song that never ends."
Yeah.
But it's time. Did Joe, who works at the Button Factory, I need you to turn the launch key with your right hand.
Are we just at the opening stages of this? Is that why we haven't come up with an actual plan? Is it we've just discovered that this works, and so we know we don't have a plan for scaling it? Is it just like we just haven't gotten to the point where we know whether we can get the enzyme or we need the bugs?
Yeah. So that's basically what's going on is all of these studies basically came to fruition in 2020, 2021, this year. When you think about that, number one, that's incredibly new and it's incredibly fast to be making. I love this because this is those like parallel discovery things, which I really love. You look at this and it's like, oh, 3 different teams from 3 different places had this line of thinking and we've shown that it works. Okay, now what? The other thing that we have to really, really think about is these discoveries were made during the last couple years when everything has been moving slower. People are not able to be in the same facilities. Everything's slowed down over the last couple of years. So hopefully now that we've found all of these different ways. I mean, we've got these enzymes that are breaking down different kinds of plastic. We've got these bacteria that we could potentially release into the ocean. You know, we're still doing more tests on that. And now we have this waxworm saliva that could potentially be a third thing to get rid of a major type of plastic, right? When you talk about PET plastics and polyurethanes, those are the 2 biggest consumer used plastics. If this stuff starts working and we're able to break this stuff down, imagine you put everything in the green bin now and it goes down to the local recycling center. And instead of using
bug hive,
it goes to a local bug hive. And instead of, chemical breakdown, or this breakdown that creates a brittle byproduct that we can sort of use, but nobody really wants to. Now, instead of throwing 70% of this stuff right back into the landfill, we're able to get rid of, it doesn't matter if your plastic is dirty. It doesn't matter if your plastic is covered in paper or other goo or anything like that. These enzymes will still work, which means one of the other things that's going to such a huge problem, particularly here in the States, we refuse to prep things for recycling, right? So that's another reason why 5 to 6%, like you're saying, only gets recycled. It's not like in Japan where it's like, have you ever seen what they have to do to take the trash out in Japan?
No.
20 different bins in some places.
Crazy.
And there are different days of the week and there are different things. And you've got to wash the labels off your bottles and throw the labels down, and people do it because it's just
impressive.
It's just what they do.
Barely break down boxes here,
Oh my God. Let me tell you, I am just as guilty of this as anybody else. If a box is like just too big to break down, it's going in their hole. It's going in their hole. Like, I'm sorry.
For me, it's the opposite. It's the small ones I don't like breaking down. I'll break down a big box. That's no problem.
Oh, because you like punching through them.
I punch right through them.
Yeah.
But the little ones, it's a box like this. I'm not going to take the time. The boxes that are like folded together instead of,
Oh, I'm thinking of the big, like the big corrugated ones that are like taped everywhere and if you get furniture or something shipped
That's
to you.
Annoying. That's
like, I don't,
annoying.
I'm just like, sorry.
But like a shoebox. Like a shoebox. Such a pain to break down a shoebox. It's like, come on.
Why would you do that?
Figure this out.
Let's not even listen.
Hey, actually, I got the actual numbers on paper and cardboard.
Lay it on me.
The EPA estimates that 68% of paper and cardboard that goes into recycling bins gets recycled.
Oh, that's huge.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good. But this is not total paper and cardboard that we make. This is just the stuff that makes it into the recycling bin.
Right.
68%. But that's pretty good.
That's a lot more than it was. I feel like the number that I was pulling from was from years ago, probably. And it seems like we've really gotten that up to a much more manageable level. I mean, obviously we'd all love to see that get up to, 100% eventually.
Yeah.
But there's certain, listen, that's never going to happen because there's certain stuff, like I said, where if you've got food grease on paper, there's just no way to save that paper.
Yeah.
And they're at least not yet. But with something like this, I think plastic and non-biodegradable stuff is the biggest problem right now. Obviously there's a huge problem with deforestation and that's a problem on a different level. But I think as far as running out of space for trash and trash that negatively affects the environment and affects our health, plastic is the big one. And to be able to get rid of more of this plastic, imagine if we got that 5 to 6% that plastic is up at up around 60% like we have right now with paper.
Yeah.
We would be living in a much different world. And so natural means like this, if we can figure out ways to replicate them and scale them up, I think are going to literally change our world. I think the one that scares me the most is not these bugs. The one that scares me the most is releasing certain bacteria into the ocean to eat plastics.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, what happens to that bacteria? What other side effects is that? Like, we've fucked with the ocean so much.
Yeah. The other thing that occurs to me is that it feels like this would only be something that we could put in place going forward. Like it seems like it would be logistically quite difficult to operate on any of the existing plastics that are in landfill. I mean, maybe some of the ocean stuff that we yank out we could do, but it feels like it would only be a recycle or a way to eliminate the plastics moving forward.
Yeah. Have you ever seen a real landfill, like in real life?
No, only in pictures and video.
I've seen a real landfill. They are gigantic and frightening.
Yeah.
And you're right. I can't imagine how we would, because here's the other thing about a landfill. A landfill, like to send people into a landfill to sort it out, is also kind of a biohazard.
Oh yeah, completely.
It's a huge biohazard. So it's at this point, our landfills are. I don't know what we can do to sort them out. And I mean, this is off the top of the dome. I don't know tons about how we work with our landfills. So if any of the concerned citizens out there know, definitely hit us up. But it's fascinating to me to think about, like, yeah, I don't know that we could touch those landfills, but just getting rid of the stuff going forward changes everything, in such a huge way. So I think this is cool.
Yeah, I do too. Is there speculation about next steps or how quickly this might scale? Because it feels like this is, we're in the nascent kind of part of this.
So the way they've thought about it is there's a professor that's been working alongside, like this is turned into, it started in Madrid, but it's turned into like a multi-organization thing. And Andy Pickford from the Center for Enzyme Innovation at the University of Portsmouth in the UK
doesn't he run Borderlands franchise?
Yeah, Andy Pickford. He's the guy that runs Gearbox.
Yeah.
He's the guy that runs Earbox, Andy Pickford. He runs Earox. And they order Orderans.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
He says that the reaction happens within a few hours at room temperature, suggesting that enzymatic breakdown may be a route to making use of polyethylene waste. So what he's saying is, this is something that happens naturally within a few hours without fucking with the environment at all.
Wow.
So this is
amazing.
A big deal.
Yeah.
But they are going to have to, now that they understand it, figure out scaling it, figure out releasing it, figure out processes. But this seems good. Yeah. They also say that, like, there was a separate study that was related to this published last week that says that creating a mirror image version of a plastic degrading enzyme means it's much more resistant to breaking down itself.
Wow.
So this is crazy. This is like you create a bizarro version of the enzyme, right?
Wow.
So you take this enzyme from the saliva and then you create like basically a chemical opposite of it. You mix them together and it allows it to eat more oil because the enzyme disappears more slowly. So we're already figuring out ways to prolong the enzyme in an environment.
That's wild. That's really cool.
It's wild as hell, but they do say that the high expense of chemically synthesizing mirror image enzymes is probably not going to be economically worth it yet. Yeah. But it's interesting that this research is already picking up steam this quickly.
That's rad. That's rad. It must be expensive because all the mirrors you have to buy.
You have to listen. And also
mirrors.
they're like, you got to get little tiny goatees to put on all the enzymes and the bugs.
Exactly.
You have to have some bugs that are creating the enzymes. And then you have to have the mirror universe bugs with the little goatees that are creating mirror universe enzymes.
Yeah.
And that's tricky.
Great. That's just time consuming is what that
and
is.
Naturally, if one bug meets its mirror opposite, they want to fight to the death. And so you have to keep them separated.
Yeah.
So there's a lot. Yeah.
I have one big question that, that feels like the natural progression of all this. Should I get one of these wax worms and just swallow it so it'll eat my credit card sized plastic that's in me?
That's a great question. I would say yes. I would absolutely say yes.
Feels like it's a real at-home kind of DIY remedy,
I mean, look, that to me sounds like a very similar train of thought to like eating a lot of activated charcoal. and I say, get to it.
Yeah.
There's nothing is wrong with eating a lot of charcoal, and nothing is wrong with eating a lot of wax worms and hoping they get rid of all the Visa cards inside your body. The delicious Visa cards.
The swallow a wax worm challenge. We'll start it. It'll take off. It'll be a meme.
Mm-hmm.
We'll save the world.
And somehow every time somebody swallows a wax worm, $50 gets given to something. I don't know how. I don't know how we track that, but we could say it.
Figure it out.
I think this is really cool.
I do too.
I'm very
amazing.
excited for it.
And again, it's another example, as we have seen on the show many, many times over the years. It's another example of nature's got a way to fix it. We just got to find it.
Yeah, we don't have to do it.
Exactly.
We are simply here to create the mess.
When we fuck up nature, we let nature figure out a solution for our incredible blunder.
Yeah, unless it's a solution that we don't like, in which case we tell nature, find another solution.
Exactly.
And it will, and it does, and it has, and it will continue to. And we have nothing to worry about. The world is our playground. The environment belongs to us, and we do what we want. And I'm going to keep eating plastic.
It'll fix itself. It'll fix itself.
If you have read any interesting stories like this, or if you have any insight into recycling or landfill or anything like that, you can hit us up. We'd love to hear from you. We have concernshow@gmail.com. We've got a subreddit at reddit.com or we have concerns.reddit.com. We also have our wonderful Discord.
It's a great place. I spent so much time there lately. I just love hanging out with folks. I don't even need to post. I'm just reading all the cool articles and hearing people chat about stuff. It's a great time. And it's because we curate it. We only allow the coolest folks. How do you know you're the coolest? Well, you give us at least $1 a month. And then we tell you, you are cool. It's a transaction that leads to satisfaction. You know what I'm saying?
That's what it is. And listen, we used to have a much more rigorous exam to figure out who was cool, but it turns out it's just like money makes you cool.
Yeah. No, it turns out this was way easier for everybody involved.
And so if you give us $1, you get into the Discord, you can chat with people, you can see everything everybody's posting. It's not just science stuff we're talking books, we're talking movies, we're talking media. People are playing games together. People are doing all kinds of wonderful stuff. To join that for just $1 a month or more, you head to patreon.com/wehaveconcerns. And you'll notice that when you get there, as you give a little more, you get a little more, like bonus episodes, early audio, all kinds of different stuff. And it's the only way that we support the show and ourselves. And we just keep having surgeries. So we really appreciate
true.
We really appreciate everybody that's been supporting us and keeping the show going and helping us get to Jeff's goal of a 100% conversion rate.
We're so close, Anthony. We're so close. And by close, I mean we're about 10%.
We're about 10% there, which is huge. If you listen to the show and you think we give you a little value or make you smile or teach you something, we really appreciate you giving back like that. It stops us from having to do ickier things for money. We don't like doing icky things for money, but we will. But we're glad we don't have to.
We prefer to do icky things without being paid for them.
That's right. I only eat icky things. Patreon.com/WeHaveConcerns.